So plenty more Sparks, Miranda and Matt still to come.
Now, 3 years ago, a ONE Show team filmed soldiers in Camp Bastion in Helmand Province, where they were preparing to return home after David Cameron announced it was mission accomplished in Afghanistan.
But as we speak, there are still over 500 British troops there, with more joining them soon. To find out why, Justin Rowlatt went to spend time with the RAF in Kabul.
And, I should say, gosh, he discovered that the attacks can come at any moment.
It's been 3 years since the combat mission in Afghanistan ended and thousands of British soldiers came home. But a few hundred are still deployed here every year as part of NATO's mission to train Afghan forces to help them take the battle to the Taliban. A small RAF squadron is based here at Kabul Airport, and as we were to discover, the insurgents can strike even here. So we're allowed to move around the base. We've got to wear our protective equipment, our flak jackets and our helmets. Every morning, the Puma helicopters the squadron use are wheeled out onto the tarmac at Kabul Airport. The RAF's mission here in Afghanistan can sometimes have a routine feel. But it can be a dangerous job flying people and equipment to all the NATO bases. Nick Monahan is in charge.
And we're trying to minimise the harm that can come to anyone who's trying to do their job in Kabul. So we move them by air because it's deemed a much safer way of getting people around the area. Given everything we've committed over the past 15 years, I think it's absolutely imperative that we remain committed and see that mission through.
These images of the squadron at work were shot by one of the pilots. Most of the time they fly in and around Kabul. But sometimes they go further afield, out into the deserts and mountains around the city. I've been allowed on board one of the Pumas. One of their jobs is to provide a vital link to loved ones back home for the British troops here. They deliver the Royal Mail.
Any contact from home is paramount for the guys' morale and enjoyment. Every week or so, a large amount of mail gets flown in from the UK by the Royal Air Force, and then we have the job of distributing it. You can see the smiles on their faces when we do deliver it, less so on the crewmen's faces as they're humping and dumping 30 or 40 bags of mail.
These helicopters are armed with a machine gun and use flak to protect against the heat-seeking missiles the Taliban and other insurgent groups sometimes use. Afghanistan is still a very dangerous place, as we were soon to find out. This is no exercise. It turns out Kabul Airport was under the biggest and most sustained Taliban mortar attack for years.
So I have to say, I've never been under rocket attack before. The guys here seem quite, don't seem too worried about it, which obviously inspires confidence in me. The recommendation is to basically lie here and wait until we get an all clear. The building is actually hardened, so it's protected against these kind of attacks. Now, Rob, how dangerous is this?
Probably would ruin your day if we got a direct hit, but a direct hit is quite rare, really.
The NATO combat mission in Afghanistan ended 3 years ago, when more than 100,000 troops withdrew. The ONE Show was there as Camp Bastion, the main British base, was cleared away. That is when responsibility for the battle against the Taliban was taken over by Afghan forces. It has been a hard fight for the Afghans. The government now controls less than 2/3 of the country. Hundreds of British soldiers gave their lives defending Helmand Province. Now almost the entire region is under Taliban control. Today, a total of more than 40 mortar bombs rained down on the airport, destroying Afghan Air Force helicopters and planes. One building took a direct hit. The airport was closed for 7 hours, and a visit of the US Defense Secretary was disrupted.
An attack on an international airport anywhere in the world is a criminal act by terrorists. This is a classic definition of what the Taliban are up to right now.
After a couple of hours, we were finally allowed back outside, only to hear the sound of more explosions.
Naya, come now!
Eventually, we were given the all clear. It was late afternoon, and there was just one priority on the base. And this is where everybody is headed, straight to the cookhouse to get themselves some lunch. Even Taliban bombs don't get in the way of a good meal. Next time, I'll be going on patrol with the 2nd Battalion of the Yorkshire Regiment on the streets of Kabul.
That did look properly scary for Justin and the crew, didn't it? I mean, it just reminds you of what the soldiers go through every day.
Immensely. And Miranda, your father was in the Navy. I think he served in the Falklands. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I mean, what was that like for you?
Yeah, I remember because he was captain of HMS Coventry and his ship was sunk. So, yeah, I remember that very well and the shock of that. But, yeah, very proud of him. He's a war hero, my dad.
Yeah.
So it's amazing what the services do.
I bet you are.
I come from a family of cowards. I have nothing further to add.
That's fine.
Well, as Justin said, tomorrow we have our 2nd film from Afghanistan when we'll see what happened when he went out on patrol with the Yorkshire Regiment.